Hey, let's have a conversation about AI, specifically agentic AI, and how this technology is ready to improve businesses. It's ready for individuals to use the technology to do a lot of their work, streamline whatever they have to do on a daily basis. The technology is ready, but people aren't ready. Businesses are not ready, and they have not been using agentic AI a whole lot. The excitement has built fast around agentic AI because it's doing incredible things. In some cases, some of these applications can basically do everything that I can do on my computer. I could teach these technologies to complete a process exactly the way I would do it. In some cases, it extends my capabilities in a big way. And I'll get into some examples later. First, let me credentialize. I've been a software professional for more than 25 years. I spent more than 20 years working at Oracle, in the last 3.5 years working with the AI data platform organization, helping companies deploy AI in their businesses. So my observations are real life examples that I saw in the field and that in some cases surprised me and in some cases made a lot of sense. And I'd like to tell you about that. In working with clients, over the last 3 years, AI has really been ready. It's been ready to take on the specific projects that a customer had. In some cases, customers wanted the generative AI capabilities to be used in order for employees to get the right information within their enterprise. This would be information that's held private, and they could then benefit from gathering that information quickly. Now, that's a pretty simple use case. It's basically like getting ChatGPT to work within your company, go get the right information that you have a privilege to see while keeping it private to the open world, or the free world, I should say. You could see that information, maybe answer questions about your uh, company's policy. Maybe you're trying to get an answer on a product, so you could then help a customer solve an issue. And in those use cases, we were able to prove that, hey, this is ready for you to use. This is how you would use it. And I think in most cases that we work with clients, these were exploratory cycles. Customers are ready to learn something, to understand it, but they weren't ready to act. And only a few projects that I basically worked on and we did pilots on did the customer actually take that solution and start using it in real life. And the customer that did use it in real life was very successful with it. So I'm glad that the one that did use it, that I had personal experiences with, they used it and they benefited in a big way. Now we're dealing with agentic AI. And agentic AI, if you don't know, it's where AI agents are actually doing things. Pretty incredible. They can do things that, in my case, I've been using it quite a bit. It could be looking up information on websites, bringing them back to a spreadsheet. It could be looking at a system, logging in, doing some tasks. It could basically do a lot of the maybe administrative work that I have to do each week. It also brings the knowledge that it gets from a large language model. The one that I've been using a lot is Claude. And it could bring its coding abilities, its technology abilities, and we can, in essence, create these solutions that make my processes that more efficient. And agentic AI is the one that's probably going to create the most fear, concerns with employees, because agentic AI truly is AI with the capability of doing a person's job. It could certainly streamline operations and result in some jobs being eliminated. So I think that's why there's been a lot of fear around AI, and I can understand why. The thing I would say for a business is that you need to understand the latest technologies and use them to their fullest before your competition does it. Because what you don't want to do is being, being in a position where you're way behind your industry. And I think some industries have been early to using AI. Typically, the newer industries, you hear startups are really building their companies with an agentic AI workforce versus hiring an army of people. So these young companies, as you would expect, they're basically going to use the latest and greatest. As we look at organizations that have an established culture and established work streams, there it gets a lot harder. And when we look at agentic AI, for those situations, it's going to take a lot of important thinking, good planning, and a lot of change management. In the cases that I've worked with clients that are looking at agentic AI, there is an absolute fear for this technology, and clients are being very careful with it. Leaders don't necessarily want to jump in and start looking at these solutions because I would think that they're going to really disrupt their culture. People will become very concerned that, hey, we start using agents to do a lot of these processes, it's going to spell job losses. So businesses that I've worked with have been very slow to start using agentic AI. Small businesses, on the other hand, it's almost like they don't have a choice. They have to be efficient. They're really struggling for survival. And those entrepreneurs, they really need to be as efficient as possible because they really don't have a lot of room for failure. So it's been interesting to see how agentic AI, which has incredible value, not be used. The technology is ready. If you're not familiar with Cowork from Anthropic, I really encourage you to learn it. Learn it like a skill back when you learned Microsoft Excel or PowerPoint or Microsoft Word, because agents are part of our future and they'll enable the individual to be that much more productive. If you have agents that are working in your behalf and you're the manager of those agents, you're going to be that much more productive. And if you're a leader, an individual person that's leading kind of the adoption to this technology, you're going to be very valuable. Leaders also need to understand how agents are going to fit into their workforce. As I work with agents, it feels like I'm working with a colleague, with a coworker. This coworker is incredibly intelligent because it's connected to a large language model. It's like working with a genius when it comes to coding and knowing everything that's on the internet. But I know the business. I know the process. So I can orchestrate, manage, and instruct the agents that work for me to be in line with what needs to get done, to put boundaries and guardrails on these agents so they're not disruptive or maybe they do something wrong. And we need to begin to thinking about how we're going to change work streams and business process altogether. The systems that we use currently, whether it's SAP or Salesforce or Oracle or NetSuite, these systems were conceptualized 30, 40 years ago. And the last refresh we had was about 25 years ago with the internet era. And they were built with the whole principle of it's going to be all people working in this work stream and the work's going to get done. Business process is going to be handled. But now we have a new paradigm where we're going to have agents doing a lot of these tasks. And some of the tasks may be eliminated altogether because if you have these agents that are able to connect different processes, connect different systems, we can make systems far simpler, flatter, faster, more elastic, less expensive, and increase the velocity of a company, decrease the cost of ownership of these systems, decrease the cost of doing business, improving the bottom line profitability. It's upon us. Agentic AI is here. It's ready. And the work that I've been doing individually has really opened my eyes to how powerful and how ready these systems are. Let me cite two examples. The first one is an example that I completed with OpenClaw, which is a lot like Cowork from Anthropic. I have a YouTube channel. I have members of a YouTube channel. I focus on stock investing, and I have paid members of this channel. Well, previously, I would have to do an export from the YouTube channel over to my Google Drive because I offer certain assets to paid members. And I have a website where members can see information that I only publish to paid members. So I needed to integrate the members from YouTube over to Google Drive and over to this website to give the paid members uh, access to information that's behind certain paywalls. Now, the choices were I could have bought ready-made adapters, and these adapters, I did try them. They were a little buggy and they were expensive. But instead, I presented the requirements to OpenClaw. I presented them 2 days ago, and collectively, I worked on it in my evening hours for about 4.5 hours. And a lot of this is really having a conversation with OpenClaw and developing a solution across the board. And this solution did everything I needed it to do. OpenClaw was able to use my YouTube portal, didn't have to change anything there. I just needed to give it access. It accessed my Google Drive, didn't have to change one thing, just provide OpenClaw access and give it access to my website. It's a WordPress website, and I have a member management app there or a plugin on the website. And again, I didn't have to change anything on my website. I just gave it access, and we talked about the changes I needed. We talked about it in plain English, and OpenClaw was able to build all the code, implement all the code, test the code, and in essence, go live with the code with my permission. Every step of the way, I granted it permission to take the next step. And I have a working solution at this moment. It took 2 days. And in that development cycle, I was able to develop it with no technical background. My education's in accounting. I have an MBA. I've worked primarily as a software professional, knowing how to use the applications, knowing how to do discovery for requirements. But I never have developed software. I'm not a DBA. But OpenClaw brings that area of knowledge and expertise. Now, going forward, the changes I've made with this Agentic AI, I now have this agent in OpenClaw handling my membership. When people get signed up on my YouTube channel, the whole stream is now managed by an agent. It saves me time. It simplifies my task of having less to do with the YouTube channel, and I offload the administrative aspects of that particular business. So it's been a win-win, completely. The cost was very low. Really, the biggest cost is the API tokens that I had to spend with Claude. And I think the token spend was probably about $20. But I have a built solution for $20. I will make that investment every single time. That's example number one. Example number two. I have a stock investing channel. I have a portfolio where I really like to keep up with the information around 400 different tickers. Now, managing a portfolio with a couple stocks, no big deal. You can just look it up on Yahoo Finance and you're good to go. But I have a community of thousands of investors, and the ideas on stocks that come up on live streams and over videos and comments on videos, member calls, the list has grown to be a list of about 400 stocks. And updating that it takes hours each week if I dedicated myself. Probably per month, if I wanted to keep it current, it'd probably take 20 hours, if not longer, up to 40. Again, Agentic AI, OpenClaw. We talked about the requirements. I went into OpenClaw, expressed what I wanted to do. I showed it the screens, and we formed a plan. And today, I'm happy to report that update is completed by OpenClaw. So that's a big time gain for my schedule. Giving it a fairly complex task of going out to websites like Yahoo Finance, looking up information, scraping that information and putting it on my Google Sheet. The other comments I would put there is there are APIs, there's data sources that are supposed to provide that information. I've tried 2 of them. I won't say who because I don't want to say any negative comment about them. But those APIs were very buggy and they didn't work. And after trying for hours, I just abandoned that process. With OpenClaw, Agentic AI, it could browse the internet. If that information is available on the internet, it'll go find it and it'll bring it back. It'll bring it back at no cost, other than the electricity I'm using on my computer and the tokens that I'd be spending. So it was a low cost and an even lower cost of ownership going forward. So it saved me a lot of time. It was not expensive, and it's proven to be really, really productive and a big win. So back to the technology's ready. And I wanted to share the personal experiences that I've had with OpenClaw, and I'm getting into co-work now because I really didn't completely believe in agentic AI till I personally saw it build these new work streams, until I personally experienced how productive this is going to be. And I encourage you, if you're an employee, if you're out there and you're curious about agentic AI, you're curious about AI overall, but you're a little nervous. Is this thing going to take my job? I really encourage you to get to know it. Really know it as much as you can. Try to be one of the leaders from a knowledge perspective. The more you know, the more valuable you're going to be. The necessity for people that know AI is going to be extreme. You're going to be a very valuable individual contributor. So learning it now would be a big plus with your organization. And frankly, many organizations would want to have you if you're going to be a change agent for this paradigm that's going to be huge. For leaders, I think leadership needs to start thinking of how this new technology is going to change the way we run businesses. We're going to have flatter organizations that have a much faster way of processing the lines of business that we would focus on, whether it's the financial systems that are going to produce financial statements at the end of the month, whether it's the order to cash process and processing that through, managing inventory, developing a new product, marketing. Everything is going to change as a result of agentic AI because the benefits are just too valuable. And those that don't adopt it are going to fall behind, and it's going to be a lot of pressure on those organizations. So I think having a great strategy around agentic AI is critical at this time. The technology is ready, and it's now time for businesses and individuals to be ready to start using it and adopting it, becoming masters of this technology so that both individuals and companies can really flourish in the future. So that's my video on agentic AI. I am a consultant on AI. And if you would like to talk about maybe a project that you have going and you feel like I could be of any assistance, I'd like to hear from you. And you can look up my information on my YouTube channel. And if I could help, I would love to be of assistance to you. Thanks for watching my video, and good luck with your projects.